All right, it is 5 past, so I think we can just go ahead and get started. And if our food bank friends join us, we'll let them introduce themselves when they get here. My name is Samantha Menley. I am the community coordinator for 200,000 More Reasons. Um, Most of my job is going around visiting churches and helping you brainstorm ways that you can do better ministry in your communities. And I'm happy to see all of you.
And I am Mary Lewis Dassinger. Y'all know me, project coordinator for 200,000 More Reasons, and appreciator and encourager and lover of all of you for all the work you do in your communities. I mean, I get the fun job of asking you to tell me your stories, and so y'all are doing the meaningful work, and I really do appreciate it. So welcome today.
Yes, so I think that we concluded that we hadn't really checked in with our feeding ministries since the beginning of COVID. And so we just kind of wanted to say hi and see how things are going. I don't want to say post COVID because we're not really fully past COVID, but we just want to know what things changed for your ministries during COVID, and if you're still sticking to that plan or if you have gone back to sort of what you were doing before. So we're just going to kind of open it up for you to tell us about how things are going. If you'll just introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what your ministries are, that would be great.
Well, I'll start.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
Deborah Keene. I'm with Oak Forest United Methodist Church here in Little Rock. We are a small congregation, but have a feeding or a food pantry ministry where we provide non-perishable foods twice a month on the first and third Thursdays. We average about 60 families per month. It's an all volunteer led operation. Gets pretty scary sometimes, but we always manage to have food and enough volunteers to make it work. During COVID, we switched from a food pantry ministry that was inside, where clients and families came inside, and actually we were able to sit down with them, have a cup of coffee, and they were able to interact with other people and with us. They seemed to really enjoy it. And as of November 3rd, which is next Thursday, we're going to start coming back in the building for our food pantry. We've been doing it drive-through. I cannot tell you how many challenges there are with that. Standing in the sunlight with a tablet, trying to check in people, and you can't see the screen. Those are just minor little things. But like I say, we average about 60 families per month. We typically have, let's say, 8 to 10 new clients in a month, which means to us anyway that we are continuing to reach the community. Where Fair Park Boulevard, where we're located, is about 3 blocks from Asher Avenue and about 2 blocks from the most easterly boundary of UALR. So it's a community where the service is much needed. So we're very happy to have that. One of the things that I have found really amazing and that we feel very happy about is that we do have a few of our food pantry clients who have now started worshiping with us on Sundays. It's small, but we're a small congregation, and we're happy to see them and try to, extend that hospitality and make them feel very welcome. The challenges that we've had, we've never had to turn families away for lack of food. We have a pretty loyal and faithful group of people who support the food pantry. We don't use any of our church funds at all to purchase food. All the food that we purchase is done so by a food pantry account that's held separately, where we submit grant proposals, and the funds go through there. So we keep that segregated. We have made a couple of special appeals within the last 6 months or so, for people who would like to make a donation specifically designated for purchasing protein. We do not have a steady source of protein, and I'm speaking about animal protein, of course, meat. We do always have beans and peanut butter and a lot of the other kinds of plant-based proteins that we provide. And I guess the last thing that I would say about ours is that we have made a pretty deliberate and aggressive plan of recruiting volunteers. As I usually tell people, it's a food pantry that serves about 60 families a month. I'm 71 years old, and the other 3 ladies who show up all the time are older than I am. So we have physical challenges where our food pantry is downstairs. We have to get the food upstairs and out of the building to the clients. And so we've actually been able to recruit some students from UALR who are young and healthy and can lift lots of things. And we have a partner church that has provided some volunteers for us as well. So that would be how I would sum up what we're doing.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I will go next. I'm Virginia Ford, and this is my sister and co-worker, Harrietta Lindsay. We're at White Memorial United Methodist Church on 28th and Wolf Street, which is a couple of blocks up from the State Fair. We're in a community that is served. A lot of our families have come from Sunset Terrace, which is a public housing project, and a lot of low-income families and elderly families. We actually run and have since 2017 a bus stop snack program. And what that means is that the kids get off the bus around different areas around the church, and they come to the church, and we give them healthy snacks, and not junk, not candy, healthy snacks. And for many years, we did it every day. And we get 50 to 60 kids daily for the first 4 or 5 years. And then COVID came about, and we tried taking it to the families at their homes. Unfortunately, in the community we live in, a lot of families are very transient. They move a lot. So we did that as much as we could. So in 21, we decided to reopen at the church, putting a table like at the door of the church. And the kids came up, we gave them gloves and masks, and we put snacks in a bag. We do it 2 days a week. We do it on Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5. This year has been amazing because our average number of kids have been about 50, 60 kids on Tuesday and Thursday. Some days we have even more, but God has blessed us because we found a way to get these snacks. We too have a small congregation, but our congregation, our pastor, Renee Willette, has been amazing in their support of this program. It's and then this year we also added a little 2 years ago, actually, we also last 21, we added a book giveaway. When Harrietta retired, she was a Little Rock public school teacher. When she retired, she donated about 250 books to the church. And then our pastor's wife also is a retired teacher. She donated another 200 books. So we categorized them, put them according to age groups, opened up one of our Sunday school classrooms as a library. And so the kids come in and they get a book and they get a bag of snacks. This is, well, okay. We just finished filling bags. So this is what our bag of snacks looks like. And every child that comes in gets a bag of snacks starting at, well, whatever the child is, if it's two or three, about three. To 12th grade, we get a lot of high school kids now, because these kids are in a community where there's just not a lot of options for them to get snacks or food. Um, and like Carol said, no, Deborah said, we're beginning to get some of our families come to church, some of the kids, not a lot, but we believe that if one or two come, eventually more will come. This has been an incredible program for this community. And even if some of them don't come to church, they come to us. White Memorial has become a safe haven for a lot of these families who live in a community that has a lot of violence. And I mean, for an example, we were gonna give a evening event, and we were gonna get the bouncy things to put in the street, but the city wouldn't give us permit past 3 o'clock because of the violence in that community, which was fine. We just changed it from 11 to 3, and works out fine. But it's our challenge has been that this is a community that is very challenged. Our challenge
In
has
many
been
ways.
in many ways. The poorest of poor families. Sunset Terrace Public Housing Project is one of the few, is the last public housing project left in Little Rock. And so the families are extremely poor. And, this is more than just a snack for kids for after school. Sometimes it is the food that they get for the evening. We had a child come in one day that said, "Mr. G, I'm so glad you're open because it was raining." And I said, "Well, we're always open. God sends us here even in the rain, sweetie." And she said, "I'm glad you're here because my mother didn't come home last night and we have no food in the house." And so I packed her up a bunch of bags and sent, and sent it with her because it just really made me sad that they didn't have any food. She and her little brother, who was about 9, she was about 12. And so it's been an incredible mission. We love this program and we love what it's done for our community. But like everybody else, I mean, we have gotten grants and donations. Every once in a while, somebody unexpectedly sends us a check. So, God has really been watching out for us. We've never not had enough snacks. Our church has supported this. The members of our church who are older, and many of them are not able to come out and help, but they have supported us in financially and with encouragement and support. And so it's been a wonderful program that hopefully this is the 7th year. So hopefully we'll continue to do that, but we're getting older. And so we're hoping that we'll start bringing some younger members into the church. We do have some parents that come over and help us sometimes, that are younger. And so we're hoping that continues to happen so that we can continue this program into the future. It's just been an amazing program for us. So they come in, they get a book, they get a snack, and they can
Conversation.
and
Some
conversation
kind of
and consoling, and we see report cards. It's just a full service place for kids to find a smiling face. Pastor prays with many of the families. It has become so much more than just a snack program and a book giveaway, but but a place where people can come for refuge. We also we have to close in the summer because that's the period when we try to raise some monies for the bus stop program. And so we've had to close in the summer, but a lot of our parents actually have came at the end of the school year to thank us for doing that. And their wish is that there was something that we could do through the summer. And so that's what we've been thinking about lately. What can we do in the summer? Because we just don't have the resources right now to continue with only the 9 months of
Right.
school.
Right.
So we praying.
We may need to pray for another church to come alongside you and do it with you is what we may need. Yeah,
This
That
is
would be-
Deborah.
that
Can
would
I
be-
ask a question?
sure.
This was Miss Virginia, you're with White Chapel?
White Memorial.
White
White
Memorial.
Memorial. Yes.
Okay. Would it be okay if I contact you at some point and
Yes, ma'am.
talk about what we might could do together?
Yes, ma'am.
That
That
would
would
be
be
great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been something we actually, there are four churches in the area,
and we
not United Methodist churches, and we've asked
actually
them
gone to them.
and they've not been
and not
interested.
responded.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Deborah. We
That'd be
will talk.
Okay, anybody else want to share kind of how their ministry changed during COVID and if it's still, if you're still doing a drive-through pantry or if you've gone back to in-person, anything like that? You're muted.
There, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Carol Godwin, and I'm with Asbury United Methodist in Little Rock. Before COVID, we had our patrons come inside and kind of sign in. We didn't really, have a lot of restrictions. We just mostly wanted to know who they are. And we got to know them better that way. But once COVID started, we had them drive through. And actually, I think for us, it's a lot more efficient. We might not always know their names as well as we used to, but it's gone very well. And we kind of don't plan on going back. What we also, like Deborah, we give out non-perishable food items in grocery sacks. And until this summer, until June, we probably averaged giving out like maybe 60 bags of food a month. But starting in June, our numbers started just doubling every time. And in the month of September, we gave out 171 bags of food. And it's just been astronomical. And we're not currently funded by the church. We're funded by monetary donations from church members and, any grants that we could get, as well as people bringing food donations, which has kept us going. But, once our numbers jumped up this summer, I was starting to run out of money and I got kind of scared. So we had a big drive the last month and we received tons of food and we raised about $5,000. So I think that'll help see us through the end of the year. And I hope that we get a line item maybe next year, because we've kind of been talking, that's what we want our identity as a church to be, that we serve the community, and feeding is one of the main things that we do. So, it's just a joy to serve. Like Deborah said, for her ministry, we're getting older too, but so far we're bearing up pretty well. It keeps us young, but we're on our feet a lot. But, it's just a joy to serve these people. Ashley Burks in our church has started a diaper pantry. I don't know if you're familiar with that. We've been open 3 times. She runs it in conjunction with the food pantry. And she is logs people, but she asked them to bring either a birth certificate or a foster addendum. So, because her concern is people will get free diapers and then sell them. So she ensures that people really do need diapers. And so I think that's a lot of what our increase is people come in for diapers, they're getting food as well, which is fine. But so I guess that's all I have to say.
Carol, that reminds me, this is not an idea for every church, but those of you with larger churches and Sunday school classes, Kathy Roberts at Pulaski Heights, they were struggling to keep up with the amount of food. And so she's asked our Sunday school classes to do 100 items of one type of food every month. And so every family just goes and donates in the Sunday school class. And so our Sunday school class does canned meat, like tuna, chicken, those types of things. And so it has essentially eliminated their need for a big food budget because we are big enough that we have enough Sunday school classes bringing 100 items every week, covering all the different type of items that we have. So that's just a nugget to take with you and see if anything else works for any of you guys in y'all's situation. But I thought that was pretty ingenious. And so now they use their budget to supplement and to add more, and especially around the holidays. But, so I spent personally as a family, I spent $100 because I found, cans of food for $1 each on sale or $1.50. And so it was pretty easy for me to do that once a year. And, we have 12 families in our Sunday school class who can each do that pretty easily once a year. So some idea for y'all. Okay.
I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to share, but I also don't want to ignore our guest who joined us. So I want to welcome Keisha and Lauren from the Arkansas Food Bank, and just give y'all an opportunity to kind of tell everybody what's happening at the food bank, if y'all are having any struggles getting food or anything like that, and what is coming down the pipeline for you all.
Greetings, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for being a little late. I had a meeting that ran over and then I couldn't get on to the Zoom, so I was rushing. But imagine my surprise when I got on and my former boss was speaking. And so it was so good to see my former vice president, Deborah Keene, speaking. And then after that, to be able to see the famous Virginia, Miss Virginia speaking, who her story is known, and she speaking true to just being an advocate and there for youth is still going strong. So that was so enlightening. So I was so excited to see that. I am also excited to hear from everyone else. Ms. Carol, thank you for sharing. If you see, I'm taking notes on everything here at Arkansas Food Bank. Of course, we've been very excited to partner with the United Methodist Church with the project that you all have had going. But yes, just as Samantha mentioned, we have, I think COVID hit and we were given food. It was just a plethora of food to be given out, and we were able to share in so many different communities. And here, fast forward to 2 years later, and it's absolutely the opposite. Our donations are extremely low, and even trying to access purchase food due to the supply chain, we don't have it. And I've heard them say, although I've only been with Arkansas Food Bank for about a year, I've heard them say they've never seen the warehouse that low. As soon as things come in, of course, our partner agencies are getting it, and it's gone. We can't keep anything, and our food sourcing is having a hard time in trying to procure that food. So we are feeling it. We're trying our best to see how we can continue to partner, fulfill the need. We've done things with our partner agencies, with food credits. We've also were asking for additional donations outside for various areas, telling people to donate directly to pantries. So we are trying, but just an FYI, I did want to let you know we are experiencing what everyone's experiencing. You go to Kroger, you go to Walmart and Target, it's the same issue. Well, everybody is trying to procure from the exact same suppliers for purchased food, and then people just don't have the food to donate as they have in the past. So we are dealing with that issue. So we'll pray for you, you pray for us, and watch God change things so that we can continue to serve the community.
Thank you. Lauren, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Hey everyone, I'm just thankful to be on this call today. Mary Lewis has always been great about looping us in and finding ways that we can identify and maybe close some gaps. So some of you may have worked with me over the course of my duration at the food bank. I was the nutritionist and did some nutrition education things, and now I do our food for kids, our food for seniors, and our mobile distribution. So if you have any dealings, I know Miss Virginia had mentioned some summer feeding uh, thoughts that she's thinking about doing this coming summer. And it's just so like we haven't even had Halloween and you guys are already thinking of the summer. So that's great to see you guys brainstorming so far in advance. And that just means more success to come. So I'm sure we'll collaborate over the course of however long it takes us to make sure that we're meeting those needs in the communities that we serve. So thank you all for doing that as well.
Lauren, tell us a little bit, briefly, if you can, how the Food for Kids program does work. Like how
Yeah.
y'all people and or locations. Yeah.
So we're kind of changing gears a little bit with this year being our pilot year of doing some different strategies, but essentially Food for Kids has a multitude of different food distribution strategies. One of them, our largest, being the backpack program. So our backpack program, let me just disclose first before everybody starts emailing me, we are at capacity with that backpack program. We serve about 3,065 students amongst 87 different school partners in our service area. And we send the food to them that thus goes out on the weekend. And it's to help supplement that gap that they might not be receiving, when school is out of session. So we do that from the start of the school year to May, and that runs all school year. Another food for kid feeding strategy that we do is school pantries. We have some school pantries that are self-sponsored, and that just means that the school put it into their budget or it's supported by the community. Basically, they're paying, sourcing their own food through us or other channels. And then we have TANF school pantries, which that is a reimbursement program done through the Arkansas Division of Workforce Services. Most of our partners are school districts, but we do have some schools working with churches to distribute that food out. And what that means is we have $15,000 to $25,000 up of reimbursement to help support those pantry costs. It is a federal program, and with federal program comes strict record keeping and verifying eligibility. And it's been a headache for a lot of people, just making sure that we confirm those students. Because oftentimes, if any of you are from small communities on this call today, you know the families that need it. And so it's so easy for us to just distribute the food. But when it comes audit time and they need to see proof that those families were eligible, boy, we're hitting the ground running to get that verified. So it's a wonderful program, but with it does come a lot of detail-oriented work. And then lastly, we have summer feeding efforts. So in the past, we have been a liaison between our community partners and Department of Health and Department of Human Services to administer the federal program of Summer Food Service Program, SFSP. And so that was also a reimbursement program. What we find with these federal programs is that there's often a lot of red tape. The intention is there, but sometimes it creates barriers to access instead of increasing the access. So what we found, for an example, was maybe the feeding window was from 12 to noon. Well, if somebody gets there at 12:15, per federal regulations, we weren't supposed to serve outside of the meal window, or that meal wouldn't be eligible for reimbursement. And of course, we're not going to turn people away. So we just would sell our sites just to feed them. And then when we started really looking at the cost, we said, you know what, I think we could take a different route of feeding kids without this red tape. So this year, actually, and I was out on maternity leave. I just returned in September. So Keisha held down the fort in our pilot year. I'm sure she was very happy about that. But we were able to offer some mini grants, and we opened up a grant process and had our communities tell us what they needed and how they needed to be supported. So some of our individuals that applied, they had the food costs covered, but they wanted to transport kids to the site. So they were asking for funding for fuel. Or maybe they had the space and the food and the fuel, but they didn't have people to cook. So they were writing for to have staff come on and cook. So we learned a lot this summer in that pilot, and we just kind of let the communities decide. Cool ideas if anybody wants to replicate this, because I just thought it was super cool. But one of the agencies provided vouchers for milk and bread. And so the kids would come and get those little meal tickets and take it to their local grocer, small grocer. And at the end of the month, the grocer would bill the church, and then the church would just write it off with their grant funds that they paid for the milk and bread for those families. So that's something that they had been doing. And then this able with the grant that we had, they were able to do fruits and vegetables as well. So $5 maybe is what they put on that voucher. And then, like I said, at the end of the month, the grocery store billed the partner. So Mary Louise, you're probably wishing that you didn't ask me that question, but we have a lot of different avenues that we use to feed children. And it's all going throughout the year. So it's when somebody says food for kids, I have to ask, what are you talking about specifically?
No, thanks, Lauren. That was great. I wanted them to hear especially about the summer feeding grant process, because that was Alzheimer United Methodist, Library did one this past summer as well. So
Yep.
Sam Matters wrote the grant and made the partnership between the library and the food bank. So
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Mhm.
And my painter says hi. I think his name is LJ.
Is he there?
He recognized your voice. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Carry on, Samantha.
So as we keep discussing things that you're doing, things that are working, like Carol mentioned, we've seen in the last few of these Zooms we've had around the state that numbers increased during COVID, but numbers have increased a whole lot in the last few months over the summer due to inflation, due to things like that. Can anyone else attest to that in their ministries?
Hi there. I'm Justin Reed with Crosset United Methodist Church. Miss Norma Sue Switzer is on here as well, and she's actually, I think, our liaison with you guys or with the food bank. But we have, so what we've done even prior COVID was a drive-through. I'm actually on the Greater Crosset area food pantry as well, and we have a very active food pantry here in the Crosset area. Crosset's 5,000 or 6,000 people. The food pantry serves 250 families-ish, over 500 people usually average per month. And then in addition to that is where the United Methodist Church comes in, and I guess about every 3 months, the food bank brings food to the church, and then we have a drive-through for people to come through. We may have started right before COVID, but I think it may have been during COVID. So, but we have kept that drive-through. Previous distributions, we would have leftovers and would just take that to the food pantry or put out on Facebook and ask people to, come back through if they're still close by and can make it. But the last two we have ran out of food before. There's lines going down the, Fifth Avenue or Fifth Street, and we have actually run out, or last time we ran out. So we have seen that need. Same with the Crosset Food Pantry here as well. But we appreciate you guys' support and very much the Arkansas Food Bank for what they do.
Justin, that's one of our mobile distributions, right? That you're talking about every
Yes.
few months? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that was different from what everybody else was speaking on, so I didn't know how.
Yeah, it
that
is a little
worked.
different. Yeah. So for those of you
Okay.
in the Southeast with one of our mobile distributions. I had written a grant to the foundation, and they gave us $96,000 per year for 3 years to do mobile distributions in partnership with the food bank throughout the Southeast. And so Justin's church is one of those that do it. They do them every quarter. Sam is really
Yes.
in charge of those, and that funding runs out at the end of the year. And so
Oof.
that's part of why we're having these conversations is what do we need to do next? Where's everybody struggling? And where do we need to continue to see those gaps? So that's part of this conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to chime in because
Yeah,
yes,
I'm glad
it
you
is
did.
very much needed. And as I'm hearing other people speak, and I need to talk to Miss Norma Sue in our church, but I would like to start. I don't know if it'd be possible, but to be able to get names of people, that way we could keep up with it and any information on their families to see, is it the same people or are we having different ones come? Obviously, we kind of in a small community, you recognize a lot of people, but there's also a lot you don't recognize. And people may hear it from Hamburg or somewhere else in the county and come over and get food as well. So it'd be nice if we could compile some data for you to take back
Yeah.
to maybe help with that.
Yeah.
Speak
That's
up here too. Okay, Norma. This is Norma. I'm with Justin here. Let me say, we have been, besides the food, we have a young lady in our church who has opened a Buy Nothing room. It's some sort of program that she heard about and she was determined to do it, and she has practically done it on her own. She's finally getting a little support. They've moved her into a different building, and it's but anyway, when we pass out the food, then we explain to them about the Buy Nothing room. But now we don't get any information from our customers. I mean, we pass that food, we don't ask them any questions.
There's this dilemma of gathering information, why you're gathering it, and does it increase does it create not just more work, but a sense of why do you need to know my name? And it just makes it uncomfortable, I think. But I do think there are ways to do it when you're just, as a church, you're doing it for you. And I don't know what those ways are. Maybe some of you all have ideas. We can talk about how do we do that in a safe way when it's not required. Now, some people just know it's required, but if it's not required, then without asking too much personal information so that they don't feel as welcome, they just, dignity and anonymity for some is very important. So
This is Deborah again, and we do take folks' names and we collect information like the household size and information like that. We have been using simply an Excel spreadsheet where we set it up and we just ask if they have a form of ID. We don't get too picky about that. But what it allows us to do is then understand the household size, how many households and the size of households, how many people, ages, and so on, so that we can compare that to the food that we purchase and how much we're needing and all that. And then monthly, we submit a report to the food bank for their purposes so they can see how the food is going from there to a pantry and then on to the community. But I don't think you have to make it very complicated. And what we do is we do let people know we don't share that information unless they've signed a release of information form, which raises the comfort level that their information is not going to be shared unless they decide they would like that to happen. When we explain that if they do want to do that, it allows us to better serve the whole person in case of referral for housing or some other things. But I think what for me is really important is to put that client in the driver's seat. They're the ones that get to decide what happens with that information.
Thanks, Deborah.
Hello, this is Lupita Chavarria from Pinnacle View. When the pandemic started, I started to distribute diapers and cleaning supplies in my house, your house. I live close to Markham University, and the families come to my house, to my garage, to get these items that I receive from private donations. And then when I started in Pinnacle View a year ago, we opened the food pantry once a month. And we distribute, thanks to Food Bank in Mary Louise Designer from 2100 Reason, we distribute diapers, cleaning supplies, personal hygiene products, and books. That is very, very important to us, distribute all those items. And especially the cleaning supplies and the personal hygiene products is very highly appreciated. I've been hearing comments from ladies that say, oh my God, this is a conditioner for my hair. I don't even buy a conditioner for more than 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very hard to me to hear that if the people are struggle to buy food, they don't have money to buy things that they think is not too important.
Mm-hmm.
We distribute a lot of diapers, and yes, that's what we are doing now. I'm so happy because for the last months, I've been taking from the food bank a lot of personal hygiene products and all these things, and it is a really, really a treasure. The food is very important, but all these things is very highly appreciated for the families. Thank you. We are attending 62 families
Oh, wow.
a month. Last month we take 62. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Lupita.
Thank you.
Mary, I just wanted to add one more thing. We also are partnered with the Arkansas Birthing Project to give out information to people about our folks that come in, kids, about COVID, and they provide and where they can get a vaccine. And we also provide gloves and masks and sanitizer for those families. The Arkansas Birthing Project, which is all over the state, it's an amazing program, works with pregnant young women who don't have any support, and they link them with women in the communities and women at our church to help them get through the first year, their pregnancy, and the first year after the child's birth. So we help them get car seats and cribs and diapers and whatever they need within that period of time, but we also support them during their pregnancy. So that's been an amazing partnership for us. As far as taking names, we do have kids sign in, and we use that, and we get they sign in, they give us their name, their phone number, and their birthday, because we do little special birthday things. But it's also a way of, looking to see who's being supported in the community and where kids are coming from. And we, if we need a grant, we have verification that kids are coming, so we do keep a sheet. Last year we served over the period of the school year 2,000 kids, 2,000 snacks. Yeah. And so we do keep a record, and but our support mainly comes from our members, our friends, and grants, and we've been blessed to receive a few grants over the years. This year in particular, we've been really concerned because our numbers increase. We are accustomed to having 2 or 3, maybe 10 kids on that first month of school. And we had, I think one day, 63 kids the first 2 weeks of school. And it's averaged out to about 50 kids on the 2 days that we served them. But that's an average. We've had as many as 65 kids come. So we've been having to be really conscientious about making sure that we have the food we need. And that is a challenge, you know. I mean,
It is a challenge.
it truly is.
So it kind of, that makes me think, what other challenges besides just accessing food? We know supply is an issue, and we know finding it. And we heard yesterday from Jeff Quick at the North Central Food Bank that there's just less food available for even companies to donate to them. So having free food at the food banks for distribution is getting tighter. So we know food is. What about volunteers?
Yes.
Yes, I see a lot of heads
Yes.
shaking. Yes, yes. And so what other capacity challenges and what other solutions, if anybody's had some great solutions on volunteers? We had a couple yesterday. I'll see if anybody has found new ways to recruit volunteers before we start sharing those from yesterday. Lupita, you raised your finger.
Yes. Well, when I start this food pantry in our church, I think if we have 80 hours of volunteers, whatever number of volunteer is, we can serve 30 families. And then we jump to 60 families. And to jump to 30 to 60, I take a new group of volunteers from the southwest of Little Rock, a group of young Latinos, because in our church we have the struggle that our members are not in good health, and they cannot carry heavy boxes in all this situation, and that breaks my heart because they have a great spirit to help, but they can't. So it's a really difficult to me. So I get this new group of volunteers and I say, okay, we can distribute these 30 new boxes, but we need help with this and this and this to go to pick up the food and to distribute the food. That's why we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We had somebody yesterday mention tapping into athletic teams at nearby schools. Has anybody tried that here? Lori has. She's unmuting. Hi, Lori.
Hello. Okay, so we are a grants recipient here in Southeast Arkansas and get 4 distributions a year. And so often our Friday receiving of the food is on Friday morning. And so our football team has come to help us unload, Beta Club, cheerleaders, basketball. We've used all different teams, but we've had really good support within our church family. So when we do that, that has changed from COVID. Before, we would bring them inside and we would, like many of you, have them, we would simply write down their name, households, and at one point we needed to know if they were veterans, and I'm not really sure what that component was, but it might have been back with the Starbucks thing. But anyway, most people were like, no problem, because we didn't ask them for driver's license. We just took them at their word. The beauty in that was that we got to see them face to face, but it was hard because they would look around the room and they would see what was in the boxes. So COVID hits and we change, and now we're drive-through. And so our distribution either comes pre-boxed or like what's coming tomorrow is unboxed. So we're going to box it, have a team box it and bag it. And so we set it outside and we have a drive-through, and we work with our local police department, and they put up a mobile, like an LED sign. And then we have someone that helps direct traffic so we don't just block Main Street. But we literally open the door, put the food in. And one thing that has changed is before we were like, 1 box per car. But we're at the point now where we're like, how many families are in your vehicle? Okay. And a lot of times they'll say, so-and-so's at home with COVID, or so-and-so's got the flu or sick. And we believe them. And we're like, okay, here you go. And they leave. Our distribution is set up for 9 to 11, but usually by 10:45, we've given it all away. We usually give out about 200. I think this time we're going to have 192. But our church also does feeding our neighbors, which is separate from the 200,000 Reasons. And like a lot of you, we have pivoted. It began as a ministry. Wednesday night was church night, and we would give leftover food out the back door to people that we identified as being food insecure. Well, through the pandemic, I didn't say, Lori's from Monticello, Southeast District. Sorry, First Church Monticello. Anyway, so we pivoted. So during the pandemic, we partnered with, the food bank, and we were able to box up things and then deliver to people, because again, we weren't in person at church. What we do now, and we are completely separate from 200,000 Reasons. We church family members give money. We do have a line item in our budget. A lot of people just donate to it, but we have a great team of volunteers, and every other Thursday we either deliver to people or they come by and pick it up. And the only requirement is that they call the church office, identify who they are, and give us a household number. And that's a one-time thing. And then, do you need it delivered, or are you going to pick up? And I think we're at 110 families, and that's every other week. But believe it or not, we'll actually have families call and say, hey, I'm doing okay, take me off the list. And so then the third program we're involved in is Feed the Kids. And like the ladies were showing us the gallon Ziploc bag, every Friday, we're a part of this group. It came out of the First Presbyterian Church, but we're a partner in Methodist Church. But we, once a month, we pack a gallon Ziploc bag with, like the ladies said, healthier snacks, raviolis and granola bars and fruit cups and a bottle of water and things like that. And it's a gallon Ziploc, and these kids during the school year get it every Friday. And that is identified through the school and the preschool. Now, when you get up to about 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, the kids are embarrassed and won't take it. So a lot of times we send an extra bag with a sibling if we know that there's a sibling that's older. Okay. So anyway, so there you go.
Thanks, Lori. I like that last little bit of making sure the counselors kind of know there are other siblings who need it within their family. Yeah.
So as we're talking about doing drive-through pantries, that being more convenient, being easier because you don't need as many volunteers, are there other ways that your church is connecting to have more relational, I don't want to say relational relationships, but more connectional relationships, and not so much transactional relationships, just giving them the box and them driving away? An example of that is in the Northwest District. A church is once a month handing out birthday cake. So they don't know when anybody's birthday is, so everyone gets cake, but that might be the only time that that person gets to celebrate their birthday. So it's another way to just give the people you're serving a little bit of dignity and have them celebrate it in some way. Does anyone else have any examples of that?
Hey, I'm Matt Taylor. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we actually give a little birthday cake kind of thing to kids when they come in. And our pastor actually walks around the neighborhood and talks to the families and stuff, who once they see the kids gathering around, people actually come out. And so that's been a great way for him. We have this amazing pastor who has this gift of talking to people and encourage them. So we think sometimes we say, ooh, don't be so nice, we're getting too many. No. But that is one thing that we've done a lot of, because understanding that a lot of these children that we serve, our families that we serve, do not celebrate birthdays because it's just costly.
Yeah.
And
everybody has a birthday. Everybody has a birthday. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody. But we also, somebody was saying, we also give out to siblings. as long as, because we recognize that some of the high school kids may not want to come. So as long as the kids can give us a name, and because the little ones might not know the birthday, but give us a name, and we do encourage every child to come meet us. They don't have to come get a snack. We'll give the snack to their little siblings, but we do want to know they really exist.
Yeah.
Have you guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'll be real quick. I saw on Facebook, of course, where all the great ideas are shared. They have those little birthday kits, and you put in the little banner that says happy birthday. You put in some icing, cake mix, candles, and then they could just do it however many candles they need. And then I thought, well, who wants to make a cake? They want something that's already made, but it's really not. It could be a good bonding experience, and kids could have that memory. Like, we always made a cake for my birthday growing up, or just that one night thing. So that was super cute. They just had it in the little cake pans, and everything that they needed for the birthday celebration was in there.
We heard from somebody yesterday who does a similar thing. And they had a lot of people who didn't have access to cooking elements. But even I was just thinking you could do Hostess cupcakes or, some type of snack that you can put candles in and it's a birthday cake. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, were you?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm a youth director at Highland Valley United Methodist Church in Little Rock. And we started our food pantry at the beginning of COVID, and we are a drive-through. That's all we've ever been. And we are purchasing shelving right now to transition to people being able to come in and shop. They would like to do that. So, but we're also right now putting on a workshop, thanks to 200,000 More Reasons, Mary Lewis, a Cooking Matters workshop. So, and we're inviting our people from our food pantry to participate in that. So we're making some more meaningful connections in that way.
Yeah. So Cooking Matters, coming in and learning how to cook with the recipes and get the food to take home.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say Highland Valley?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you said coming in to shop, is it more like a choice pantry, or how is it set up, or how's it going to be set up?
Yeah. It's going to be a work in progress because, like I said, we've been drive-through the whole time, but we got a grant from the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance, capacity building grant here recently. So we're going to be able to afford the shelving to fill in our kind of empty warehouse. We have some shelving right now, but yeah, we're going to put in shelving lining the whole thing. And then, we're going to let people come in if they choose to, so they can select things that they want. And which really is going to give me the ability to get more things from the food bank than what we have now, because I'm really limited right now. If it's, say, pickles, let's say I can get pickles for $80 that would, give everybody, a jar of pickles in their bag. Well, I don't know what the number is, but maybe only, 30-40% of people want pickles. But this way now they can come pick that out if that's what they want.
Yeah, great. We just opened our first choice pantry that's under Arkansas Food Bank name from our Alexa branch in the Delta region. It's a community pantry, and it's choice, and it's healthy pantry initiative, where it's foods to encourage our healthy food. So I've got that down, Matt. You're going to be receiving a call from me soon.
All right. I look forward to it.
Yeah. I'm Lupita again, just to share that we also give the training of Cooking Matters in our church. In August, we have a great graduation to all the ladies, because during the pandemic, we do this training online by Zoom and with videos. I give this training in Spanish for Latino ladies. And in August, we meet with all the ladies that graduate online, because they are not happy to the graduation online. So they come and visit us. And that was great. And the gift, they love the gift. And the book of recipes, they love it. They love it. This is a great program. Thank you so much.
Anyone who, I want to respect everybody's time, but anybody who hasn't shared yet, want to just tell us how things are going, what challenges you faced, how things are going, quote unquote, post-COVID.
Hey, this is Donna from Vilonia United Methodist Church. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. I was just, ours is food and reading program and feeding. We feed them dinner on Wednesday nights. And then they take a food bag home with them. And then they also get a book or books to take home with them. But we just started in the summer. We got the grant from 200,000 Reasons and More, which was very nice. And the kids, we have volunteers that are coming to help read with the kids, read to them if they're young, and then listen to them read if they're older. And it's worked out really well. And we've been blessed actually over the years, because one of our major volunteers that works with me is an employee of Scholastic. And so, yeah. So over the years, she's been able to, they get books that they don't want anymore. And so she's been able to get them on discount. And so we've been able to give the kids those. But now with the grant, we were able to give them more and actually do the reading program. So that worked out really well.
Thanks, Donna.
You're welcome.
Mhm. Anyone else?
Yeah, Norma.
Let me get this figured out. Am I there?
Mhm.
Okay. I was just going to mention that we also have the Beta Club in our schools come help, and they're a big help, but they can't get there till after school, so they help with the delivery process. And of course, people love seeing them, and they can pick up those boxes and stick them in the car so fast. We're saying just one per car, and they'll have 3 in there, but there were 3 families, and we let them buy pretty much. But we also have gotten help from the Rotary Club, because we're an old church, and the Rotary Club has been a tremendous help. And there's a fairly new business in town called Ingevity, and they have been a tremendous help. When we have to box food, they come in and help us, because that requires a lot more effort than whenever it's boxed. So we're getting ready to, this next week, have all of them come join us again.
That's great.
And we also do the books. They started that through UMW, and we pass out the books.
Y'all know I love it when the books get passed out too.
Oh, yeah.
That makes me happy. Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up, we'll just tell you a few things that we have coming down the pipeline, and I'm going to just share my screen really, really quick to show you this document that we have put together and double check that all the links work. So this is the 200,000 More Reasons page at arumc.org. If you scroll down here to grant applications, reports, and awards and click on it, and click on funding resources document, this is 9 pages of not necessarily United Methodist, but just all kinds of grant opportunities that are for the state or nationwide. And you can click on the links and check them out, from federal government agencies all the way down to things like Dollar General, giving out community grants. Walmart has community grants. Blue Cross Blue Shield does the Blue and You grants. So that's kind of an older document, but all of the links work. So that's just a way, besides us, because we don't have as much money to give away as we would like, to find some more funding opportunities for your programs. So we're coming up on the end of October, but we are still in Collectober for Ingathering. And so we would like to remind you all about Ingathering and invite you to volunteer at the Arkansas Food Bank on November 12th if you're available. And I'll let Mary Lewis say a little bit more.
Yeah. So churches in all the districts are collecting, of course, disaster relief kits. And Lupita, I kept remembering the new period packs or menstrual bags they're putting together now as a disaster relief kit. I don't know, Sherry Matthews might be willing to share that. Toilet paper and feminine products are expensive. They're expensive and they're necessary. And so maybe Sherry would be willing to share some of those with the food pantry when she gets them, with any food pantry. And then Saturday is our typical event at the Arkansas Food Bank. we will be doing food for kids, I believe, we hope, food for kids, packing kits, food for kids and food for elders. And since those are programs of the food bank, those primarily will have to stay with them. But we will also be trying to pack some produce. And then if you need a sit down activity, building the nets to help hold that produce. And so those, please register. We got 2 weeks left before registration. We may be moving to one shift. We have 2 set up right now, but only 3 people signed up for the first shift. So we may be just moving to one big shift, and to look for that. If you go in and sign up soon, go ahead and just go to the second shift if you can. So, but anyway, so that's going to be fun. And I did want to say about that granting document. I don't know. One of the things we were asked yesterday and answered, there are a lot of companies out there and people who want to help with nutrition and healthy families around food. So certainly try for, especially the Blue and You and the Community Foundation type grants. Healthiness is part of their kind of thing they want to give the most to. So certainly look into those if you're struggling, but financially on that.
Yeah.
Can I say something about nutrition?
Yes.
If you're limited on volunteers, always reach out to your extension, because they have a lot of programs around being low income and budgeting around food and cooking healthy. And so if you don't have the people to come do any nutrition demos or whatnot, maybe you just want to focus strictly on the food distribution, they have been a great asset in some of our other communities, the extension office, to come out and lead those efforts.
Absolutely true. Yes. Yes.
And for pastors, please fill out your charge conference paperwork. That's really helpful data for us to know what programs you have going. Even if you've told us today, it's helpful to have it in a spreadsheet. And there will be a survey. So if you didn't get to tell us everything that's happening at your church today on this Zoom call, we will be sending out a follow-up survey for those who weren't able to join us, and for you to just give us some more detail if you want. So be looking at your email for that. And then finally, on February 4th, if you want to mark your calendars, we are very excited to announce that we will be hosting an adverse childhood experiences training around how we can do trauma-informed ministry without causing more harm to the people that we're serving.
This was a hot topic at our literacy summit. It's really interesting to, as you know, I'm thinking about, Virginia, when you were talking about the kids having your challenges or the challenges of the kids you're facing. And, we all have adverse childhood experiences. They influence how we relate. And so for us, it's about how do we connect and how do we help kids and families be healthier in those moments of connection. And so that is, we're excited about that quite a bit. We're also doing mental health first aider training. Some of you, in your interactions, probably could come around people who are in crisis, and it gives you tools for responding appropriately and effectively in those situations. And those are a day-long training. Both of these are open to any type of volunteer, clergy, community. Well, for sure, the mental health first aid ones are. We'll have to see how the ACEs training gets going, but do encourage, it's just a way to empower your volunteers who are interacting with communities in order to serve them more safely.
And with that, we really appreciate you taking the time to spend your lunch hour and a little bit extra with us today. And thank you all so much for your ideas and for your willingness to serve your communities in these types of compassion ministries. Thank you all for joining us.
Bye, guys. Thank you.